were the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold exposed last night during their 31-9 loss against the Detroit Lions? Well, we're going to talk about it on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in, everybody. And I will say I woke up this morning feeling a lot better than I did before I fell asleep last night, as it felt like the world was collapsing and everything, just went bad for the Minnesota Vikings. But I got my top 5 takeaways. We'll go through the stats and really deep dive into this game last night. But before we do so, we're actually 50 subscribers away from 50,000 subs here on the channel. First off, that's incredible. Shout out to all of you guys for getting us to where we are already. But if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Join us here on YouTube at Vikings Now by Chat Sports, and hit that subscribe button. Maybe you guys will be the 50,000th subscriber here on the channel. But let's talk about the guy who just struggled last night. Sam Darnold. Now, he was sailing passes left and right. We know the story. The Vikings were not good in goal-to-go situations or in the red zone whatsoever. And the thing that was so frustrating about this performance is this was just not anything we have seen in the prior weeks. Like Sam Darnold, he was tearing it up. He was playing some of his best football of his career. And then it really looked like he was seeing ghost again this past Sunday night. And that's what was so frustrating, because I went back and I, like the sicko I am, I watched this game probably 30 times on repeat last night. And it was just over again, whether it was just missed opportunities like Jordan Addison. He was open on a couple of goal line routes, and Sam Darnold just failed to connect with them, or it was just him sailing passes to TJ Hockenson. And, overall, I don't think the weapons really gave Sam Darnold also a good chance to succeed. Like Justin Jefferson, he is a fantastic player. Did he have his A-plus game? Absolutely not. If you would have asked Jefferson, how do you think he played last night, I guarantee you he would have said it was not my best ball. And he struggled. I mean, he dropped a couple of big-time passes. Yes, they would have been tough catches, but with the standard that Justin Jefferson set for himself, you would expected him to come down with it. And also TJ Hockenson. Like, the connection of Sam Darnold and TJ Hockenson on third downs last night was terrible. Whether it was, Vikings driving the ball down the field, they had that one long 3rd and 16 where Sam Darnold just airmailed it over Hockenson's head, or on the first drive of the game after the Vikings defense forced a stop on the Lions on that one out route crossing over the middle of the field. He just sailed that one. But still, TJ, it's not like he helped Darnold out by any means yesterday. And, really the only weapon that played well, I thought, was Jalen Nailor. Speedy Nailor, just doing what he can at that wide receiver 3 spot. But still, just a very rough game for the Vikings offense. I really don't have too many gripes with the defense after I slept on it. Like, they did just enough to, put the Vikings in a position to win. Just still, with the Vikings stalling out in the red zone, stalling out in goal-to-go situations, like, it is very tough to win a football game doing that. And I actually have an interesting stat for you guys. Let me pull this up. I was shocked when I saw this. So the Vikings last night, they had 4 times reaching the red zone, but not scoring a touchdown. They had 3 times having go-to-go situations, but did not score a touchdown. They had 2 failed 4th and goal attempts, obviously did not convert those, and they had a missed field goal. No other team in the last 30 years has done all of that in the same game. It was literally a game from hell for the Minnesota Vikings. Like, they struggled offensively. They couldn't get any sort of a rhythm going. And now you're looking ahead to the Los Angeles Rams game, and you're just saying to yourself, like, man, like, you got to really, really bounce back in a big-time spot against a really, really good team, a really well-coached team who is also coming off some extended rest. So my top overreactions. Number 1 for me, it was just Sam Darnold gets the yips. Just call it like it is, and that's why I was so concerning. Whether it was the pressure coming in from the interior, I thought Blake Brandel had a very bad game for the Vikes, but, Darnold got the yips yesterday. He was sailing everything, and I know interior pressure, it causes you to throw off your back foot a whole lot more, so you will naturally just sail more passes, but it really felt like Sam Darnold, like the moment was too big for him, which was something I never expected, because the last 2 weeks in Seattle, game-winning drive, Sam Darnold was cool, calm, and collected. How about the week prior against the Green Bay Packers? This man went for 377 yards, put the team on his back. I did not think this was going to happen. I was completely wrong about this game. I was completely wrong about Sam Darnold kind of shaking the pumpkin mode that a lot of people thought was coming. I'm not saying he's going full pumpkin here. He can bounce back next week, but still very, very concerning of the performance he put out yesterday. But number 2 for me, this is still a very good football team, guys. We've only lost to 2 teams this season. That was the Rams, and that was the Lions. And also I was thinking about this, how, disappointing is it that the Vikings could, think about the season as a whole. You win 5 games in a row. You go 5-0, lose to the Lions and the Rams. Then you win 9 games in a row. And you could potentially end the season losing to the Lions and Rams back-to-back weeks, having 0 playoff wins, and just losing to only 2 football teams. Like, truly, this season is just the definition of a Minnesota Vikings season, but this is still a very good team. I think they're going to go on the road and beat the Rams, and it sets up a potential massive divisional round matchup where the Vikings could potentially be traveling back to Ford Field to take on the Detroit Lions. But I understand everybody's going to hit the panic alarm here. This is still a very good football team. They played a very, very bad game last night, a very bad game, but still, a couple plays go their way. They convert in the red zone. They convert in goal-to-go situations. That was a football game last night, but still very, very concerning. Don't want to, just dismiss that whatsoever. But speaking of Wild Card Weekend, Monday Night Football, the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams. Who you got? Who you rolling with? Do you still got your faith in the Vikes? Give me a V down below. But if you're rolling with the Rams, give me an R down below in the comments section. We'll dive into more overreactions from the Vikings-Lions Sunday Night Football game here in a second. But first off, I got to tell you guys about my favorite sponsor here at Chat Sports, and that is Factor. Now, eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use code VikingsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code VikingsChat50off at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Now, if you guys are ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has made chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes so you can feel right and feel great no matter what life throws your way. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active and busy lifestyle. And here at Chat Sports, covering the Minnesota Vikings, sometimes I don't feel like cooking up a full-blown home-cooked meal when I get off work, and that's where Factor has came in and has completely changed my life. I love the teriyaki chicken that you guys see on your screen right now. But if you guys want to check them out, that link is in the comments section and description of today's show, and Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. So, eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use code VikingsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code VikingsChat50off at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That link for you guys is in the comments and description of today's show. All right, overreaction number 3 for me were the Vikings' weapons were bad. I can blame all the offensive kind of collapse yesterday on Sam Darnold, but that was majority of it. Like, if I had to go pie chart to blame Sam Darnold as the quarterback, just like how in wins he gets most of the praise and in losses, especially when he plays like that, he will get most of the blame. But also the weapons. They were not good yesterday. Specifically, Justin Jefferson and TJ Hockenson, Jordan Addison, just a no-show in the offensive game plan. I mean, 6 targets, 1 reception. Don't necessarily think it was his fault on why he did not get the football. But still, Jefferson, you got to make more plays. You were the best wide receiver in the National Football League. You did not play like that last night. I'm sure if you asked him, he would say the same thing. Now, am I concerned that this is going to be a trend for Justin Jefferson? Absolutely not. I'm sure he's going to dominate the Los Angeles Rams secondary this weekend. But the one thing, to get the weapons more involved, we've been saying it all year, Kevin O'Connell, get a quick game going. Get some sort of a quick passing game so when these teams are going all-out blitz, you just have a quick hot route, and it just feels like too many times on these plays, it's just too much of these long developing routes where you're really putting a lot of confidence in your offensive line and you're really trusting Sam Darnold just to buy enough time in the pocket. So KOC needs to get better, and that's my number 4 for me. Listen, Kevin O'Connell, I love him. He's a great head coach, but this is a look in the mirror moment for KOC. You have to look at yourself and look at this Vikings team and adjust. And maybe this was great heading into the playoffs because, I still think in wins, especially in sports, like your weaknesses can kind of just be not thought about as much, but in losses, they get exposed. Like, your weaknesses will get exposed, and the Vikings not having a quick passing game, that was exposed last night. This was something we were talking about 3 months ago on the channel, saying the Vikings need to implement this in the offense, and it came back to bite them in the biggest spot, in the biggest game of the season. So Kevin O'Connell, he's got to go look himself in the mirror, look this Vikings offense in the mirror, and really try to change something heading to Los Angeles this weekend. But number 5 for me, I'm going to go the defense is legit. Giving up 31 points, like, that's nothing to write home about, but I thought the Vikings defense did enough to just keep you in this football game. I mean, Ivan Pace, Josh Metellus, that turnover they forced on Goff to set the Vikings up at the 6-yard line. How about the Vikings also forcing a punt where the Vikings started their possession at the 50? Harrison Smith getting an interception. Started the Vikings offense at the 50. They put their offense in great situations, and they did not capitalize whatsoever. I mean, you forced Jared Goff in the 2 interceptions. If I would have showed this stat line before the game yesterday, you're saying this score is probably flipped. You're probably saying the Vikings ended up winning 31-9, but Goff, 27-33, forced him into 2 interceptions, did have that one nice touchdown to Gibbs. And, I'll tip my cap where it's due. Jahmyr Gibbs is a fantastic player. I mean, he is so good at just finding that little crease and hitting that hole at such an explosive style. And he truly just dominated this team, especially late in that fourth quarter, or late in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. I mean, 23 carries, 139 yards, found the end zone 4 times total last night. I mean, he was truly special, whether that was out of the, passing game or just, turning around and giving him the ball 23 times. He was truly a fantastic player, and he's just only going to get better. And he is definitely a guy that'll keep me up at night if it is Vikings-Lions in 2 weeks in the divisional. But the Vikings killer, I mean, in the receiving game has been Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. These 2 guys, I feel like if you had to pick like your best pass catching duo to beat a Brian Flores defense, it's probably Laporta and Amon-Ra. Maybe mainly it's just because I've seen that over and over again. Those 2 kill the Brian Flores defense. But Amon-Ra just over and over again in big spots, finding that weak spot of the zone. If the Vikings are going, the typical cover 0, look, Amon-Ra just makes plays happen, and he was great. And same with Laporta. He's really coming on strong for the Lions over the last couple of weeks. 7 receptions last night, 63 yards. But, overall, kind of to conclude my thoughts here, I'm not going to panic. I understand terrible loss last night. Like, we can all just call it like it is. The Vikings played terrible. That was a awful performance, a honestly horrific performance from this offense specifically. But what if the Vikings needed this? What if this is their story for their special season that I still think is possible here? Is that you get embarrassed on Sunday Night Football, and now you got to reset. You got to be pissed off heading into the Rams game. And this is something I've always thought about great teams. Great teams who get embarrassed in primetime situations, you will see how great they are the following week. And there is no bigger moment than the Vikings with everything on the line. You get blown out by your division rival, and they embarrass you. And now you have a chance to go redeem yourself against a team that has already beaten you this season in the Los Angeles Rams. I cannot wait for that game. I'll have a preview coming out later today, so make sure you guys are subscribed and look out for that. But hey, if you guys made it to the end, just give me a skull down below in the comments section. I'd really appreciate it. We'll use this as a real one roll call for today's show. But if you guys watch this whole thing, made it to the end, give me a skull down below. Also, I'm on Twitter. @Pat Sieps is the Twitter handle. Give me a follow over there, and I'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.